coming of the virtual environment. As you just heard, we are being recorded. So please be aware of that in terms of our etiquette for today, which I will give a brief overview of. For folks who are just joining us, welcome to Lifelong Information Literacy, AKA LILi. We are so excited to have you here with us today. Thank you to the web committee and Yi Ding, the chair, for putting these show and tells together. They've been very informative and I hope helpful to everyone who's learning online tools as we are fully in the environment. So this is hopefully gonna bolster your tool set and help you at whatever institution or organization, or even if you just wanna learn as a lifelong learner, we absolutely encourage you to do so. So this show and tell series has a number of speakers who kind of share the tools they use in their life or in their work. Today is going to be Marian Ekweogwu, and I've been like, we were talking about her name and then I called her Arian. Don't know how that happened. Sorry, Marian. And she is a second year master's candidate at the University of Illinois Urbana, Champaign. And today she's going to talk about LibreOffice. So if that's what you came for, you are in the correct place. We do, of course, have a few housekeeping rules, just always like with Zoom. So here's our agenda today. I'm going to do a brief land acknowledgement. Even in the virtual environment, these things are very important, and I'll kind of talk about why during the acknowledgement. I'll give you a little bit of outline in terms of how we're going to interact in the Zoom today. We know with students or having users in the environments, we need to tell people how to give feedback and how to have conversations. That's very important. Marian will do her awesome presentation in which you will be able to ask questions throughout. And then we will go ahead and wrap it all up. So hopefully that will be enough to get us through today's presentation. So very quickly, like I said, these land acknowledgements just give us a moment to reflect and understand that we are on occupied land wherever we are, and that includes the virtual environment. So really quickly, I currently occupy land cultivated and protected by the Chumash, now the Nation of Chumash indigenous people from San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and other counties, the Gabrielino Tongva, and Keech. Although we are virtual, we must continually recognize the physical territories that we and other oppressors have taken from the Tongva, Chumash, and Keech people to sustain colonialism and imperialism on this planet. This knowledge can guide our advocacy for all indigenous life and culture, as well as guide our practice of preserving the land that is both alive and deserving of our utmost respect. So again, just something to always note when you're entering the space. It is not our space, but we are currently occupying it, and that means we have some things that we have to do. So keep that in mind. So with Zoom, now that we're virtual, just some things to note. A lot of y'all have probably Zoomed so many times since we got to the virtual environment due to the pandemic, but just a quick overview. There is that chat window that you should have as a participant that will be used for both questions and conversations. We do have a wonderful moderator, Angela, who is going to be watching the chat and hopefully doing some of that interaction. You are allowed to ask questions throughout. We won't do the thing at the end where you have to remember all your questions. So please feel free to use that, and we will try to pay attention and make sure that your questions are answered. We will also have Q&A time at the end, just in case folks are finally getting to that point and they still have some questions that need to be answered. Remember to exercise etiquette. That means respecting the speaker. Please mute yourself. You should, I don't think you should be talking, but if you are wanting to ask a question on the mic, feel free to use the raise hand feature and we'll try to get to you then as well. But remember, we can hear all that lovely ambient noise behind you. So please mute yourself. Remember to respect one another, both in text and in voice. And then remember that we are recording. So if you don't want anything in the chat, remember that private chat is sometimes captured. So keep it on the G-chat or wherever you're talking to this person, maybe Slack, I don't know. Anyway, so that's just a little bit. Does anyone have questions about that? Cool, all right. Moving forward, so just a quick little bit about Marian Ekweogwu. Again, like I said, she is a second year master's candidate, yay, we love it, at the University of Illinois Urbana, Champaign. She thinks that everyone should, good girl, get a grip, and hopefully she'll elaborate a little bit more on what that means for us today, because we are all in this thing together, whether we realize it or not. Marian hopes to help us do that with what she's learning and doing at school and in the world. One thing she'd like to do in the world to help people navigate the uncertain oceans of information. So we know information literacy broadens one's access to accurate and meaningful information. The digital divide is not solely an issue of resources or the lack thereof. It is also the inability to parse the glut of information coming at us. And we see this with our students and users all the time. Beyond connectivity, there are so many tools like databases for information or design suites for rendering that information or productivity suites for generating and calculating that are required to make sense of the growing body of information before us. But of course, access to many of these tools is limited for those who are poor, without education, without community resources. Open source resources like LibreOffice that we'll talk about today can mitigate some of these issues of service and access. Institutions can run LibreOffice, thereby saving tons of money spent on proprietary software, money that can be put into the community by way of staffing, programming, and credentialing opportunities. This is not to say that LibreOffice or open sources resources will save us all, but it may help us to affirm our commitments to information literacy. And we know that is what most of us do, and definitely what we do here at LILi. So without further ado, Marian, feel free to take it over.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for that awesome intro and preparation. Hi, everybody. My name is Marian Ekweogwu, and today I'm going to be talking about LibreOffice, priced right for everyone. Before I start, my beautiful background that you see here is the Four Seasons Total Landscaping. They've just graciously provided us all with this thing. So if you want to get that, just go to their website and this background is available to you too. Thank you, Liz. All right, so to get started, I'm just gonna turn on my timer here. And next, so I just want to say full disclosure that all of the information that you're going to see here is freely available from the LibreOffice documentation team. So most of the screen caps and that sort of thing is going to be coming from them. All right. So what am I selling? Nothing. LibreOffice, as I said, is totally free. And what LibreOffice Suite is a free and powerful alternative to Microsoft Office Suite. And I would also venture to say a very good alternative to Google Suite as well, because it has a lot of built-in remote capabilities that make it useful. It is totally open source. So anyone can take the information, the coding, the build of LibreOffice and use it for their own purposes. As Aisha mentioned in my intro, if you're a business, even if you make money off of LibreOffice, they will let you use it. People can build machines, put LibreOffice Suite on there, and sell it. They have no problem with that. Beyond all of those amazing things about it, it also plays very nicely with all the programs that I've mentioned, such as the Microsoft Office Suite and the Google Office Suite. I actually just noticed that Google allows you to upload the open file documents that are LibreOffice's standard saving file format. And throughout here, I'll keep reminding you that this is completely free. Next slide, please. So LibreOffice contains a bunch of apps that are very familiar to most users of Microsoft Office. What it does is they have analogs for many of six of the main used programs. So Writer is their analog for Word. Calc is the analog for Excel. Impress is the analog for PowerPoint. Draw, I believe, is the same as Paint or vector graphics tools that are used on Windows. Base is like Access, but actually a little more in depth. So for database workers, that's your program. And then Math, I have not actually looked at, but I suspect it is more powerful than the calculator on my iPhone. For this program, for this session, I'll mostly be talking about Writer, Calc, and Impress, which are the three programs that I'm most familiar with and use for everything from school to like LILi work to all the various things that I'm doing with my time. Next slide, please. So when you click on LibreOffice, what you start out with is this Start Center, which again is very familiar to anyone who's using Office Suite. What it allows you to do is to check out thumbnails of recently documents that you've recently worked on. You can also open files remotely from here. Let's see. Esther, this works on anything you can think of. I have a Mac, I have a PC, and I'm also running a Linux machine. All three of those platforms I have LibreOffice on. I have not yet run into a system that I can't use this on, amazingly. And I've been using this program or an iteration of it since 2001. Um, yeah. So in the Start Center, as I said, you can do everything from opening a document that you've already worked on to creating new documents to working with collaborators with remote files. Yeah, next slide, please. So what I'll do is just take us through the three different apps that I'm mostly using. So the first one that you're looking at here is Writer, which is the Word analog. Let's see, Janice asks, compatible with Microsoft Word? Yes. Any document format you can think of, you can probably work with in LibreOffice. And not only can you open files that you already have that are saved in other programs, you are able to save your documents within LibreOffice as Microsoft Office file formats. So it actually allow you to save not just the .doc, but also .docx, PPTX, I forget what Excel is saved at, XLS or XLSX. It'll let you save as those things as well. I don't think anybody's still using WordPerfect, but you can actually do that too on here. So taking a look at the screen that we have right now, this is the main Writer workspace. So when you open it up, you can see that it's fairly close to Microsoft Office. I usually take away the sidebars when I'm working on them because I find them highly distracting for myself. And it also takes up a lot of white space. But if you like to have all of your tools in front of you, this is a good way to go. And you can also modify or what do you call it? You can tailor these toolbars for your own use. So if you're not someone who's constantly changing your formatting, or you want to be able to work on HTML text or something like that, you can change out the different aspects of these toolbars to work for you. But otherwise, it really is very similar to what most people are looking at when they open up their Microsoft Office programs. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There we go. I've put some rundowns. Oh, no, just the one previous to that. So all the menus across all the different apps on LibreOffice are basically the same, except for a few app-specific sections. So for Writer, you'll see that I've circled table there. So that's the only thing that's different. So that one thing is different and unique to Writer. So when you're looking at all of the different apps that you'll be working on, it should all look pretty similar if you don't tailor them to your own use. So you'll see things like file, edit, view, those are all going to be contain the same kinds of menu options that you would see on Microsoft Office. Next slide, please. And the next slide we're going to be coming on to is for Calc, LibreOffice's Calc, which is their spreadsheet program like Excel. Again, you see that sidebar. I always take that out, but it allows you more space for a lot of your toolbar options. You'll see, again, it's set up just like the Writer one is set up. So you've got your menu bars, your standard toolbars, and your formatting. Once again, it's utterly and totally changeable for whatever your needs and customizable for whatever your needs might be. But in general, when you're looking at this, you have the same feeling as when you're looking at Excel. So always something to remember that it's very easy to go between these two programs. And this one is completely free for whatever you need to use it for. For myself, I get Microsoft for free from my school, but when I'm done, they kick me out of there. So it was to my benefit to just be using this anyway, so that I'm fully versed in how it works. Um, so yeah, next slide, please. And exactly, Aisha, perfect for alumni, like really great to set up your students or clients with. Um, and again, this is the rundown of the menu bars for, I've been saying, oh, see, there you have it. For this one, what's different for Calc is that it contains sheet and data, which makes sense, right? You want to be able to manipulate your rows and cells, and you want to be able to manipulate the data that you're putting in there. So on the menu bar, you'll see that that differs from what you would see on Writer. Next slide, please. And on the next slide, what we'll be taking a look at is the Impress. And Impress, as I said, is the analog to PowerPoint. When you open up Impress, if you so choose, you'll see that I've circled show this dialog at startup. What this dialog does is allow you to use a template. Now, it comes preloaded with templates like the lorem ipsum that we're all used to. But you have the ability here to save your own templates that you create or import them from other programs or from websites that you know. Yeah, the Beehive one is really awesome. I actually just used that for one of my school projects. So glad that you like the Beehive one. And on the next slide, we'll take a look at what the screen looks like when you open up Impress. So on this, you can see you get on the left-hand side, apologies for anyone who's not able to see these slides. Hopefully we'll be able to make that a little easier for future presentations. But on the left-hand side, what you'll see is your slide preview. So that'll be thumbnails of all of your slides as you add them. The central page is where you'll be working. So usually when I open up Impress, I don't use a template. So this is usually what I'll start out with, is sort of a blank canvas with which to work. And then on the right-hand side, again, you'll have the sidebar if that's something that you like using. And once again, just like with the other ones, you have the same menu options. These menu options are great and are just modified for each program, for each app to have its own specific things. For Impress, the difference here will be slide and slideshow. Slides let you manipulate your slides. Slideshow allows you to practice your timing runs or to view what your presentation will look like to your audience. Um, Next slide, please, and that run through all of those menu options once more. What's going on? Oh yes, Office 2010. Yeah, I mean, ever since they went to the subscription method, I really have no time for Microsoft any longer. It just seems odd to have to keep paying for something that I know I'm going to be using for most of my working and personal work. You know what I mean? Um, so once again, this is the rundown of the menus, and you'll see slides and slideshow are the differing menu options for Impress. Um, Love that. Yes. And for Linux machines, if anyone is running Linux, which is something I hope to maybe present on at a future time, because Linux is awesome. Linux is free and it has different versions that you can use, just like LibreOffice. Sure thing, Esther. And I think the next slide, please. I think that's going to be our I'm going to just run through a few FAQs. So, as I said, LibreOffice is open source. They are working under the open source initiative and the Mozilla public license, which means for anyone who's familiar with those, it is utterly free for you to do whatever you want with it. You can actually ask LibreOffice to give you the code with which they have created this program, and you can use it for your own builds. I have not yet encountered an instance of LibreOffice where you have to pay. Oh, Esther's asking, how often is it updated? I currently need to update my LibreOffice. It's updated fairly frequently. They are keeping pace with Office for the most part, I would say, and actually sometimes a little beyond Office in terms of how flexible they are in response to user needs or concerns. Um, so you do need Java to run LibreOffice. It just helps a lot of the things move a lot smoother. You can do it without it, but it is, I would say, preferable to run it with Java. Um, uh, what else? Oh, and as I said, even if you're working with this in a paid environment, it is totally free to you. The Yes, exactly, Aisha. Java is also totally free. And if you have the right security settings on your computer, Java is not really a big problem, especially now that Windows has gotten a lot of their security options really tightened up. I'm trying to think if there are any other questions that I wanted to run through that might pop up, but I think that is it. Um, you can, oh, the last thing I'll say is you can put LibreOffice on as many machines as you want. Anywhere you can download it. I've actually have a USB stick that I have for an iteration of it that I really enjoy. Um, oh, there you go. Yes, that's exactly right. The Brave browser is actually pretty awesome as well. And these are just ways to get out of the pay for productivity world that we live in. You know, if you are using these things to work, it doesn't make sense to be paying for them. So that's it for my presentation. If anyone has any questions, I hopefully have the answer that you're looking for. Um, Liza, they don't currently, that I know of, have their own cloud system. But there are, you know, several services out there that work really well. I do know you can save files remotely within your own networks, which works really well. Oh, thank you very much for that link, Aisha. Um, yeah. And then this page is just, this project is being worked on all across the world. I believe LibreOffice is currently available in about 40 plus languages, and people are working to translate it into more languages. Great. Yes, Liza, you can save it to any cloud service that you might have. Yes, I definitely highly recommend trying this out. It's not a gigantic file. I believe it's about, on my computer, it's taking up about maybe 68 megabytes. Don't quote me on that, but it's not a gigantic form at all. Oh, you're very welcome, everybody. Yes, very different from Microsoft. It does not take up that much. Yes, I said it's smaller than Second Life. Um, Yes, Kate, it does save to PDF. Actually, there's a button there. I should have showed this, but there are two ways you can save to PDF. There's a button up in the toolbars, and you can also export directly to PDF. And the wonderful thing about that is that you can create a structured PDF if you're trying to make, optimize your PDFs for accessibility. You can do that within LibreOffice. My presentation is on Impress, although it's currently being shared, I think, on Slides, Google Slides. Oh, absolutely. This is a picture of me in Yosemite this year. Um, it was really the only way I could get out was I needed to get out of the city. So yeah, we got to go. My partner really enjoys alpine camping, where you hike up many thousands of feet and roam around. So hence the snow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
well,
really
thank
glad.
you. Sorry, go ahead, Marian.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm really glad to see the chat, everyone talking about how cool this is. Oh, off topic, but are you recommending? What are you recommending? When? Linux, everybody. Switch to Linux if you want to keep on your, keep up with some of these programs. I'm slowly working my way to swapping to currently on Linux Mint is what I'm running on my desktop. I don't know if that answered your question, Kate.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back for Linux.
Yeah,
I recall it from master's program, but I know, and all the really smart computer people that I went to school with there used Linux, and I always wondered why. And now I'm like, oh, they knew what we didn't see yet, which was this subscription kind of model and big data. So they saw what the rest of us did not see in terms of the writing on the wall there. So yeah, we'll have to get into that and more about open source, which in institutions is not really our bag. We like to be able to buy things and say that it's proprietary, but we know there are limitations with our vendors all the time. So this is excellent.
Exactly.
So does anyone else have questions in terms of not only LibreOffice, but it seems like any sort of environmental questions about open source are also Marian's bag. So she can hopefully get you a little bit more information than you started with today, which is the whole purpose of these show and tells.
Esther, did you have a question?
You can save to the cloud, Esther. Whatever your particular corner of the cloud is, you can save to that. And then it allows you actually to open just on your desktop to open those remote files, which is really nice. Like if you save to Dropbox, you don't have to open Dropbox to bring the file to LibreOffice. You can just do that through it. Awesome.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you for participating in the chat. It's been really lively.
Yeah, it really has. Because of school, I feel like a really great facility with the chat. It makes me feel like, oh yeah, people are engaging. So.
Well, while folks think on that, I will go ahead and share our show and tell ask. For folks who are blown away by Marian's presentation and are like, I could totally share a tool or some resource that I use at my institution that may be helpful for other folks who are involved in lifelong learning or information literacy, please sign up. We are more than happy to have you present just like this. And it can be as small as something that you use to make files or to make something accessible, or something as big as a complete suite of tools like Marian has done here that can really change the way that you interface with technology. That whole range is acceptable. It can be as short or as long as you want. As you can see, our colleagues always come in and talk to you and collaborate with you about those things. So it's always a fun way to kind of get back into the virtual environment that is not a meeting, which I'm sure a lot of us have plenty of. So please feel free to fill that out if you come up with anything. If you want to collaborate with someone else, I believe that is also welcome. So yeah, don't feel like you're going it alone. All those things are more than welcome at LILi Show and Tell. So that is available to you, and we will work with your schedule. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I'd just like to say thanks to everyone who showed up for the presentation and for LILi for putting this on. This has been really great, and I hope to participate or watch other sessions.
Absolutely. Thank you to Yiding as well, the web committee chair, as well as the members of the web committee who have put this whole show and tell series together. Again, please, please, please consider presenting. We definitely want to hear from you. We know you have things to share, even if it's you figuring out how to use Zoom, as you saw with us today. We would love to hear about how you're facilitating and using technology in your quest for lifelong information literacy learning. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to Marian Ekweogwu, and please feel free to contact her, marian3@illinois.edu if you have more questions about LibreOffice. I guess like open source stuff, anything, being a master's candidate, whatever.
I'm down.
I'm excited her up for this, for small mentoring, but yeah.
You know, I love questions. They help me think too, so
yes.
yeah.
Awesome. And to everyone else, thank you for joining us. I hope you have a great day. And please, if you have questions, feel free to contact LILi, members of the web committee, and consider presenting. Bye.
Bye. Stay well, everyone. Yeah, happy holidays. Thank you, Kate.
It's us now?
Yes.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Marian.
And same to you, Aisha. You're such a great host. I want you to do
really
every session from now.
Please.
Great
I'm here to support Marian. This is what I do. I show up and I do her slides and then I leave like an elf.
You're awesome.
Aisha is the best. Super awesome. Thank you so much. That was really.
Of course. I'm glad everyone was so engaged. I've been a big fan of LibreOffice, but I fell off after I left grad school.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped like checking in because, institutions. But
yeah. It's a wonder. I mean, it's really wonderful.
Because... Oh, let me stop recording.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Good idea.